Well, folks, we're almost to the end of 2025. We've almost made it a year. We got 2 more months to go in this disastrous year of Trump's first year in office. And I can't believe the level of destruction he was able to do, not just to the physical appearance of the White House, but to our entire Constitution, our rule of law, and the way we do things in this country. But we're almost about to wrap up year number 1. We got 2 more months to go. And I've been thinking back on a lot of videos that I made leading up to the election of last year and subjects that I covered and the responses that I got from MAGA. And one of the things that I covered was when Trump was talking about how he was going to be dictator on day one. And he would shred the Constitution whenever he seen fit and things of that nature. And people would say, oh, you're taking what he's saying out of context. But then they would follow it up with, well, I don't think they would let him do that, or he wouldn't do that. Which never made sense to me, because in my mind, why would you vote for someone who was saying they were going to do those things? But that's the mindset of a Trump supporter. Whatever he goes for next, whatever hoop he holds up, they all jump through it. So now here we are. We're 10 months in to 2025. The country is completely eroding right in front of our faces. And he is completely ignoring the Constitution, the rule of law. And if you'll notice, he's not running anything through Congress. So he really doesn't need the government to reopen if you stop and think about it. He doesn't need a government to be open, because he can bail out whoever he wants to. He can declare war on whoever he wants to. And when he's asked about going to war in Venezuela and would he have to run that through Congress, he does exactly what we warned you that he would do. Says he doesn't see why he would need Congress. So here's this receipt.
And briefed them on the operations.
No,
against
we will
these.
go, I said.
You will go. And
we
it would
will
be
go.
difficult for them to object.
I don't see any loss in going. No reason not to. You know, they'll always complain, oh, we should have gone. So we're going to definitely, I'd like to just tell you, let's go. We'll go.
And Mr.
We're going to tell them what we're going to do, and I think they're going to probably like it, except for the radical left lunatics.
And Mr. President, if you are declaring war against these cartels and Congress is likely to approve of that process, why not just ask for a declaration of war?
Well, I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country. Okay? We're going to kill them. You know, they're going to be like dead. Okay?
So to all the people who said Congress won't let him do that, he's saying that he doesn't need Congress, that he doesn't see why he would tell them, doesn't see any reason why that he would. Well, that's criminal. That's straight up against the law. That's straight up against the way that we do things in this country. So to the people who said Congress won't let him do that, he's saying he doesn't need Congress. So now what have you got to say about it? And what do you especially have to say about it, considering that you called him the No More Wars president? But yet, here we are with Venezuela, a country who's not making fentanyl and a country who doesn't pose a threat to us at all, but that's where he's decided to turn his attention to today. And by next month, we may be talking about something completely different, because that's how quick that Donald Trump changes his tunes. But we have Rand Paul going on Meet the Press and saying what needs to be said. But Rand Paul is still a snake, and I'm going to talk about that after I play this clip.
Venezuela. Obviously, you've been very focused on this. President Trump has authorized military strikes against suspected drug boats in the Caribbean. As you know, so far, more than 20 people, Senator, have been killed in 6 different strikes. Do you believe that these strikes against these suspected drug boats are legal?
No, they go against all of our tradition. You know, when you kill someone, you should know, if you're not at war, not in a declared war, you really need to know someone's name, at least. You have to accuse them of something. You have to present evidence. So all of these people have been blown up without us knowing their name, without any evidence of a crime. And for decades, if not centuries, when you stop people at sea in international waters or in your own waters, you announce that you're going to board the ship and you're looking for contraband, smuggling, or drugs. This happens every day off of Miami, but we know from Coast Guard statistics that about 25% of the time the Coast Guard boards a ship, there are no drugs. So if our policy now is to blow up every ship we suspect or accuse of drug running, that would be a bizarre world in which 25% of the people might be innocent. The other thing about these speedboats is they're 2,000 miles away from us. If they have drugs, they're probably peddling drugs to one of the islands of Trinidad or Tobago off of Venezuela. The idea that they're coming here is like, it's a huge assumption, and really, shouldn't you have to present some proof? It is the difference between war and peace. In war, though, you don't ask people's name. But if they want all-out war where we kill anybody and everybody that is in the country of Venezuela or coming out, that has to have a declaration of war. It's something that is not pretty, very expensive, and I'm not in favor of declaring war on Venezuela, but the Congress should vote. The president shouldn't do this by himself.
So kudos to Rand Paul for saying what needed to be said. I agreed with everything that he said right there. But it's going to take more than just going on Meet the Press and calling this stuff out to stop this madness. When it comes time to vote, we're going to need Rand Paul to be there to vote against Donald Trump, and that's why that I really don't have much faith in this Republican Party. When you go back to Richard Nixon, he was brought down by Republicans. That's because Republicans back then still held on to this accountability idea that today's MAGA Republican Party has none of. And so I'm glad to see people like Rand Paul speaking out, but we need more people doing that. And then when it comes time to vote, we need them to be there. You know, we can sit back and we can scream impeach Trump all day long, and I would be all for it. But the Democrats don't have the majority at the particular moment, and they would need the Republicans to stand up. And we have Republicans who won't. And while I will say that I agree with everything that Rand Paul said there on Meet the Press, I don't necessarily trust him to do the right thing when it comes nut cutting time. I really don't. But maybe if more people like Rand Paul does go on Meet the Press and talk, it will at least get Republicans to thinking about this. Because I just think that so many of them have stopped thinking about it. And I also think that so many of them don't care if Trump runs past Congress. You know, they'll try to sit and say to you, oh, well, I don't think Congress would let him do that. But then when he does it, they don't have a problem with that either. Because then they will just turn and they'll say, well, we just want him to get shit done. So you can never win with these people. They're always going to have a way to move because that's how they've been trained. They have literally been trained in this cult. And that's exactly what it is. It's a cult. They've been trained in this cult to go with whatever the leader says. Because they were the No More Wars party. Trump was the No More Wars president. Now we're going to go to war, and that's perfectly fine. Trump was about putting America first, but now he's going to bail out Argentina first, and they're perfectly fine with that. They're going to go without their SNAP benefits in November, but Trump's going to get a ballroom, and all the oligarchs are going to pay for it. So there's that. They released the list, and it was Google, and it was Amazon, and it was all the tech bros and all the oligarchs. And if this was completely reversed, can you imagine the meltdowns that Joe Rogan would be having and Jesse Waters if it was Obama or Biden that demolished an entire wing of the White House and then the elitist oligarchs stepped up to foot the bill? So, yeah, that's where we're at. We're up against a group of people who have absolutely no morals, no values, no principles, no consistency, and will just jump through the hoops of whatever the dear leader says. However, Rand Paul was right there. This goes against all the norms. This goes against everything that this country was ever built and founded upon. But we just need more people to start speaking up and saying that. It's not going to do us any good if I sit here and say it on a YouTube channel and Rand Paul says it on Meet the Press. It's going to have to happen when the Republicans say enough's enough. We're not going to let this madman, this criminal, control our government any further. And until they stand up to him and make a change, we're going to be in for the long haul, folks.